systems work, people fail. Welcome to InsurMark's Advisor Mentorship Podcast with Vice President Jeremy Hauser.
The lazy, hazy, and hot days of summer are in full swing. Well, for Jeremy Hauser, at least it's the hazy and hot parts. They're covered, but lazy? I don't think so. Jeremy, may we please have an update on the Hauser household? And then we'll get to work things.
Boy, oh boy, pun intended.
Mhm.
It has been a crazy last couple of weeks for just let alone July. June was busy too with a lot of travel. But here over the last couple of weeks, I think in the last 60 days, actually, as we record today, we've gone through 2 power outages here in our house. So that's been interesting, especially with my wife, who was roughly at that time 7 to 8 months pregnant. So we had to do some scrambling around. We bounced over to her parents' house. Thankfully, they live about 30 minutes away. So during the power outages, it was interesting because I mean I work with some of the best financial advisors out there in the industry. They're very, you know, not necessarily too needy. They understood what we were going through in Houston. Very gracious, a lot of prayers and everything they were sending out to us. But we were able to still function, you know, in the world that we're in. We're able to do a lot of video conferences. I was able to do stuff just driving around. You don't realize how critical Wi-Fi is nowadays until you're left without it for about 7 to 8 days. So literally, I was driving around in my car throughout the workday sometimes because even in her parents' house in Sugarland, the power would go out, so Wi-Fi would shut down. So I would just start cruising around the city of Houston, waiting for hotspots, and then um, so that show, I made a joke about it with a couple of guys. That show, you ever seen Lincoln Lawyer?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Waiting for the next
So
season, too. Still.
yeah, it was, yeah, still waiting for that one. So I deemed myself for that week. I was the X5 consultant. So I was just cruising around doing that. So it was pretty interesting. And needless to say, too, so Christina going through her last trimester during it was pretty challenging. We ended up switching up the office too. So as we record here today, in a different spot. So our actual office at the home is now a nursery. So I did, I think, a video or two about that. So yeah, so officially got the nursery up and going here in the last couple weeks, especially with the outage. So that did not help with timeframes. But last just a couple days ago, we welcomed our third child, which was Harvey James Hauser. So officially another boy added to us. So we are now officially the Hauser party of 5. Oh, and also in the last month, we hired somebody. So we have somebody. Crazy how timing works. We ended up finding somebody to help out around the house. Does a lot of the house items, but also taking care of the baby during the appointments that mommy would go to, and we'd drive off to, so we could keep Olivia home and so forth. So it's been busy. Been busy.
Does sound like a little bit. So, with everything that's been going on, I hate to ask you, what was the biggest hurdle you had to get through? I mean, yes, the power outages, that's huge. But what were the biggest thing? That was the biggest thing.
Oh, I think I think husbands can relate to this. So really just staying in my own lane. So especially in that last trimester, I would say when it came to especially finding the right person to help out around the house for somebody who I'm not necessarily going to be with the most during the day because I'm typically doing a lot of video conferences or on the phone or out in meetings with advisors. So my wife is the one who's going to be necessarily with that individual throughout the day and asking and leaning on them for help. So really staying in my own lane. And about 2 months ago or so, I started joining all these websites and trying to find people instead of just letting her deal with it and have, you know, the process all put together. As I was trying to help, I was actually doing the exact opposite. I was causing more stress. So I don't know if you can ever relate to that, Patrice, when somebody oversteps. So I would say, yeah, that was definitely something I think over the last couple of weeks is controlling what I can control and I mean, we had so many things I've already mentioned, more things on the horizon of what we're doing around here. So I think that was the biggest hurdle is just focusing on what I can control. And then that's really being there for mommy the last trimester and also being able to keep the family going with the two kids. And now adding the third one and just being prepped, being ready. So mommy got her nursery. We got somebody to help out around the house during work hours. So a couple other things that are coming up, but a lot of stress has become a little less stressful. So I'd say just control what I can control.
Has fatherhood changed you at all with a third child?
Um, what do you think? Actually, this might be a curveball for you. So Olivia was 2.
Mhm.
So she was 2 years old last week, and we did a Hauser party of 4. So that episode aired about 2 years ago. Before I answer, what do you think?
I went from 1 to 3 because I had twins,
Hmm.
and I think it changed the dynamics completely. I don't know if it was because it was twins or whether you just made that jump to 3. 3, you're going to find party of 4 is very easy to accomplish or to accommodate. Party of 5 is
Hmm.
like, "Oh, man, you got one more, an extra one? What are we doing?" I
Hmm.
think you've probably well, you said you felt the stress, but I would think it made you I think you love it. I think you love it.
I think you're spot on that. I do. I actually it's funny we were it was at least I think when Olivia was maybe 2 3 months old, and we'd start to go around and we'd see some people and just go to outings and stuff. And it just blew my mind kind of where the standard is nowadays, where I actually heard a statistic. I'll share that in a second. But at the actual events, we had Patrick earlier on, a couple years back, and also now Olivia. So during that time frame, we had 2 children, boy and a girl, and it was just very strange to me. I would constantly hear people say, congratulations, and then look at my wife and say, y'all are done, right? And I mean, y'all have what y'all need, a boy and a girl, y'all are done, right? And it just started over time, like, I didn't really think too much of it, and then me and her would kinda talk about that and be like, "Isn't that interesting how people just assume, since you're boy and girl, like, you should not have more kids." So I kinda, like, lit a fire under me. I was like, but I mean, for the same thing, like, I came from a family, so I have a brother, so for my parents, it was growing up, it was me and my brother, and then my dad remarried whenever I was in my teen years. So he ended up having a son as well. So I have a half brother as well. We have about 17 years of age gap between us. But just growing up, and it was always great having somebody. But I always thought to myself, the families that had more children, it seemed like there was a lot more collectiveness. There was a lot more sturdiness. They were definitely a lot more family oriented. And I always kind of growing up viewed that as like, man, that's pretty cool. And as I get older, it seems like as becoming a father and then now adding more and more kids, it's like that's really what matters to at least me. So I think to your question of fatherhood, I think that's a certain message that it gets kind of pushed aside here over the last decades where people are getting married later, not having kids, or maybe they have one child, two at the absolute most. The statistic I was talking about is, I think that, do you know what the national average is of,
No idea.
or
No,
or not the national, sorry, the world. Um, what's
no.
the average of children for
Uh,
households?
2.
It used to be. So now it's actually 1.6.
Okay.
So the birth rate is actually going down
Mhm.
for households across the world. And it's interesting because, it wasn't until probably once Patrick was about 6 months old to a year, I think when COVID hit, where my mindset kinda shifted more towards things that just were distractions to me and really focusing more on family, focusing more on my wife, focusing more on
Okay.
being a father and then also work. All of a sudden, a lot of things that I used to care about and spend a lot of time on just kind of dwindled away. And, always trying to become a better person, become a better man. And I think that here, as we record today, like it just jacks me up. It's almost like now with a third child. It's just being there and knowing that I'm continuing to just me and Christina are going to continue to grow and have these great individuals in our lives for the rest of our lives, hopefully, and then just seeing where they go from there as
Yeah.
actual adults and possibly grandchildren. So fatherhood has probably softened me, I would say, for the most. But I think also with that said, if you go back to like 2020 when COVID happened, same thing with work, like being able to actually go back and start to work a little more remotely definitely helped the family dynamic instead of having to go into the office traditionally 8 to 5 and then come home. Baby, at the time, Patrick was in witching hour, so that was not fun as a father. Um, so being able to actually work at the house and lean more into work and being able to, innovate. And we started doing the podcast, I think, in 2021, and here we are 3 years later, and we continue to grow, evolve, and I think tough times just make for opportunities for men and women to just create and see what happens. So, long-winded answer, but yeah, I think fatherhood has definitely changed me, and really the message is, just take the risk. I mean, just in a world that it seems like people don't push for people to have children or a lot of children. I can tell you it's the most rewarding thing
Oh,
so
yeah.
far in my life outside of marrying my wife. So
Oh, wait till the
yeah,
grandkids come, honey. Wait till they
that's that's another chapter of the book, right? That's what I heard.
It is, and it's wonderful. But first, enjoy them now at this age. And you're talking a lot about how work and family have gone back and forth for you, especially during COVID and how things changed.
Mhm.
You talk about processes and systems all the time here. Which of those do you use back and forth? Do some that you have in business? Do you use them at work? Do you see the same, I don't know, the same skeletons, of a process? Skeleton isn't the word I'm looking for, but it's good enough.
I kind of want to know what the skeleton term means. I hope there's no skeletons in the closet. I would say
Framework. That's it. Framework.
exactly, skeleton framework synonyms. No, I think so if you look at the personal life and then business life, partnerships, I think that's really what it comes down to. And if you would have told me the type of contract where my head wouldn't even fathom, 8 years ago, marrying my wife, I had no clue. You think like with marriage, but you don't really know. You know you love her, you want to be with her and see what life's about. But fast forward to today, having the right partner there for a lot of becoming the man you want to be as at least speaking on from my opinion, having somebody there to support you constantly, provide you with just the right things that you need to keep you going, motivate you. Um, I mean, just partnerships in the personal life. She's been nothing but awesome. Really stepping into this role, and her too, learning the whole stay-at-home mother approach because she was working whenever we first got engaged and then married. So really adapting to being a stay-at-home mom and wanting to raise the kids. So I think just the right partnership and having the right vision, someone you can bounce ideas off of and also just have fun with, has been something on the personal side that I think I got really lucky. I thought I knew, but here I am recording today, and I'm just grateful to have her as the right partner in this journey as we continue to add kids. I mean, she did great. By the way, if people don't know, it's I don't know if this is like common or not. It's probably not. I don't know too many people in this situation. So Patrick's birthday was on July 22nd. So he was born 5 years ago. So the week of Harvey coming, my son had his fifth birthday. That was on a Monday. Harvey came, which was on Thursday, which was on the 25th. And then the next day was Olivia's second birthday. So we have all three babies in the same week for
Oh my gosh.
and
That's
it's
that's
pretty
great. That's great. Just think, one birthday party for them all.
Believe me, if my financial book says do that, but I don't think the kids and mommy like that idea. I
Mhm.
could probably get away with it maybe one more year,
One more
one more
year,
year.
yeah, yeah.
So but I'm pretty excited. And then it goes back to kind of like traditions too. So just having children within the same age, or within the same time frame itself, you can actually now just, I'm thinking, go on trips. So something that holidays, especially, I came from a family that did split up roughly when I was 15 years old. So that's never fun. And holidays were just always so challenging. And it's just for the kids, especially, it was always tough because it's like, splitting time. And then once you go off to school, then
Yep.
it's like figuring out, okay, which one has me here and all that. So holidays have never been really my thing. And it's sad too, because I think as time goes on, like holidays are usually the most like collectiveness that you can get. And one thing that I really want to build within our own family, as we're continuing to create, is just doing experiences together. So having us just go somewhere for Christmas, go somewhere for Thanksgiving, go somewhere for their birthdays, and just create some memories is at least where I sit today. That's where I'm pretty excited about that for the partnerships that obviously my wife was a soldier out there, letting you know Harvey, now that he's here, and now here we are just a couple days removed. My voice is gone. I'm not really sleeping. I would say that for the business side too, partnerships is very important because here we are. As time moves forward, a lot of the advisors that we work with, they continue to not only organically grow, they refer us certain people that they may know in the industry. It's just people that I want to actually work with. So doing something for 13 years and really being kind of picky now of who we want to work with throughout the days, people that are respectful, people that actually have a right mindset of not just growth, but they don't utilize us just as a vendor. They really do genuinely help, want our help to grow their business. So it's a fun, creative side of us that get to do that. So partnership on the business side is very important too for, I think, something that we're looking into for systems and processes, and then just taking risk. Like I said, from having the third child to in 2020, went out, created a website for my advisors to hopefully made things easier for them, of just resources that they could go to as people were transitioning to online if they weren't already there. So having replays there for them to actually learn. Fast forward to today, we're 4 years, almost 5 years removed from that environment, and that's continued to grow just tremendously amongst the organization. So just take risk, just invest in yourself, create your own standard. And I think, yeah, so here we are, just, you know, doing our thing. And hopefully, when you're taking those risks, you got to have somebody to lean on. And through the tough times and through the good times, just remember who is there to help you out throughout those rough times. And just never forget, be very grateful.
That's right. So, what's coming up at InsurMark?
Let's see. InsurMark, we have a lot of things going on. So we hired a couple more people. So internally here, partnerships, right? So in the last couple of months, we've actually hired a couple of additional interns for the summer, and then also some business developers. So with that, we ended up hiring an additional person to our team who's going to be a business developer. So we have Sarah, who currently calls out on advisors, takes phone calls, sets up appointments for us here on my team. And then we ended up adding to that based off of a lot of opportunity with a lot of advisors very interested in what we're doing. So we want to make sure they're the right fit for us, going back to what we talked about of kind of being picky of who we work with nowadays. So now Ray is going to be joining the team. So hiring people as the demand is there, similar to, hiring people whenever we just recently hired somebody to help out around the house, like I mentioned, on the personal side too. So we do have in August. So we have our advanced sales training. So that's coming up. We're
Mm.
pretty excited about that. Jason Jenkins did a great job on a podcast of ours. It was, I believe, 2 episodes ago, I think episode 66. And he talked a little bit about what advisors are going to be experiencing here. Pretty incredible, because I think as we sit today and recording, we have about 72 people that are going to come to this event here in Houston as we are recording here today. And out of those 72 people, I want to say about 26 of those people are on my team right now. So
Wow.
it's
Okay.
it's going to be we're pretty excited because we're going to have a lot of uh, old faces, a lot of new faces that are going to be joining this event. We're going to have people who bring their staff members in as well to really just
Makes
really
sense.
leverage, yeah, just leverage the story, becoming a better individual for not only advanced sales training, but also just seeing more behind the story, so they can be a great cheerleader for their team. So we're building here, really hyper focused in growth mode. So our advanced sales training is pretty exciting. That's coming up, and then this month, I believe we have 5 people that are coming out to our Houston office before the event. So they qualified for something, a contest that I ran amongst my team, and they're going to be recording their videos. So our studio here in Houston is up and going. So people can come in and record their my story that can live on their website. Additional videos. A lot of people are advisors are leveraging this type of video content in between appointments, putting up certain things where their staff can send in between appointments before that prospect meets with the advisor, similar to what we do here, like the podcast. So I'm excited to see where this grows and evolves too, because I think this is a great opportunity as more and more today, more and more people are now watching video content more than possibly just watching the news at 7 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock at night. They're on their phone streaming. So pretty excited because we are up and going officially now here in the office to record videos. So we got a lot going on at InsurMark, especially with those events. And then right around the corner in September, we go to Big Sky for our family reunion. So that'll be fun
All
in
right.
Montana.
All right. Now I can hear your voice is starting to go. All right. So let's wrap this up. Then you go take a rest. Well, rest the voice. Don't you take the rest. It's the kids need you, I'm sure. But is there anything we've missed that you want to make sure you mention?
Wrapping up, I would say going into this year, as I look back, so the episode for Hauser Party of Five, um, as things evolve, and we had some pretty big goals going into January. So, like you said, Patrice, so when it comes to having going from 1 to 3 children, how many things? I mean, so just kind of go down a quick laundry list. So when you go out to eat, you can't just take the table of four anymore, right? You go where?
You go wherever they'll take five.
Yeah, you go wherever the 5. Some things that I'll start to experience here because we're only a couple days in to having our new edition. When you possibly travel here in the near future, um, you're gonna have somebody's gonna be sitting alone, right?
That's right. That's absolutely right. Yeah.
um, and then what else? What else typically happens for or that you've
Okay.
already experienced?
For five, as you say, I think somebody always gets left alone, left out, and you try to, you know, everybody takes their turn. But it's great. The more the merrier, right?
Yeah. I think the kids have adapted so far in just the first couple of days with Harvey around. Patrick's actually been really, really, really sweet, so it's been
Mhm.
great having him. And then Olivia kind of follows. I'd say for the fatherhood thing, just sitting home. This was just yesterday with all the storms that are happening. So yesterday, of course, we had this just a rainstorm that happened, and all of a sudden the Wi-Fi goes out, and
Oh,
so the TV it flashes like no internet service or whatever. And Patrick from memory, he goes, "Oh no!" What'd he say? Oh, he said, "Oh no, no Wi-Fi. Let's take cover." And then he sprints into the pantry because basically, whenever the storms were coming, and then we actually had
oh,
like trees fall in our neighborhood, he thought the trees were going to come because the Wi-Fi was out. And then to
oh,
watch my little 2-year-old right behind him, like
oh.
Patrick, wait. I was like, oh man, this is adorable. So like those are the things that I wouldn't change for this world of as we continue to grow here, but then we also now have the opportunity to where I'm excited about the rest of the year, getting used to now having an additional body here, caring for constantly, waking up throughout the night. I wouldn't have it any other way. It just makes me want to hone in and time is very important. That's the one message I would just say, that the the things that I have probably cut out of my life last year, there's probably even more things I'll be cutting out now, being in new father mode. So I'm pretty optimistic, and then I'm looking forward to seeing where we're at in a year from now.
Well, the only thing that I'm taking a little exception to in this entire show is throughout it, you've said her, she, my wife, no
Mhm.
name, no name.
Oh, oh well, Christina, yeah, episode 12. If you want to listen to our story,
I want to make sure everybody knows.
yeah, Christina, she did incredible. So that is she's really the star. I just happen to be the one speaking, but I think I just at the end of the day, I can't imagine where life would bring us without her. And I know that typically behind a good man is an amazing wife. So I'm very happy to have her. So I'll end it with that one.
All right. Well, back on the business side, how can people reach you? How can advisors reach you?
Oh, find us on LinkedIn at Jeremy Hauser. They could also subscribe to us. We've been doing YouTube here lately. We had about 67 new subscribers here in the last 2 weeks. So we're rocking and rolling there. So our YouTube channel is Jeremy Hauser Amp. So check us out on YouTube, and then feel free to go to our website, InsurMarkAmp.com/Jeremy.
All right, Dad, off with you. Go take
All
care
right.
of Mom, the kids. You've got your team here to back you up. And all you listeners, if you haven't already, follow the podcast. You get great episodes like this one and others that have a lot of solid information for you on the business side, and share with others. I'm Patrice Sikora, and thanks for being with us.